This week we're asking one simple question: which Nintendo home console has the best launch lineup? Let's take a look through the ages from Nintendo's NES beginnings, the Nintendo Switch, and everything in between in this week's HGO podcast. Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the HGO podcast. I'm one of your hosts today, Ethan, and joining me, as always, is my good friend Hunter. Hey, Hunter, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing just swell.
The cleanest, safest, most suitable for children podcast in the whole darn world, dude. You love to see it. How are you doing, dude? You see, I just don't swear anymore. That's how we do it. That's how we fix the HGO podcast.
It's that easy.
You know, I think it's a clean slate. I think this is a reboot. I think it's like the past 200 odd episodes, they just don't matter anymore. We're as clean as a whistle now.
They just don't count.
Suitable for all ages, except for most. It's fine. We're good. It's all fun to be had. But no, thank you everybody for showing up last week. We really appreciate it. It's brought our spirits back up slightly, knowing that, hey, maybe the YouTube algorithm doesn't hate our guts yet. We can dream. We'll see how that keeps going. But we're back once again. We're sitting here in the wonderful world of random topics as we wait for more games to release. Obviously, Hades 2 is next week, which is crazy to think about now because we've only had a week to process that. So,
as well as Silent Hill.
Yeah, that and Silent Hill are both next week, and then the week after that we have Yooka Replayly and Ghost of Yote. So there's loads of stuff coming down the pipe as we kind of trudge our way to the Game Awards 2025, which is going to be a war to end all wars from the looks of it, Hunter. Dude, it's going to be a hard one.
Dude, normally like every year it's like singular indie nomination. I think this time there's going to be like a singular AAA nomination if they're lucky.
Legitimately, I mean, it's like, where would you class Sandfall? Because obviously it's only 33 people as well. So it's hard because they've got that AAA backing with a publisher and the Xbox Game Pass deal and all that jazz. But it was just 33 people that made it. So it's like you're gonna be sitting there and you're like, in my world,
like one of those weird situations where like Returnal was technically made by Housemarque with Sony's backing before they were purchased and stuff. So it's like it has all of the AAA kind of trappings, but
like a double A, like what we used to call double A.
Yeah,
maybe it's something along those lines. But yeah, I mean, I just sit there and I'm like, my gosh, what a year for indies. You know, you've had Blueprints, Hollow Knight, Silksong, Hades 2, and then you've got Expedition 33 around the corner. You've had Death Stranding 2. I'm sure some people will you know, there'll be a couple of games that come out within the next couple of months that I know there'll be fans of as well. There's just a lot of stuff. So it's going to be a tough one. I know that's for sure. But hey, we're not talking Donkey Kong Bonanza. I forgot about that as well. There's so much.
Yeah, Donkey Kong Bonanza.
Yeah, with its $20 DLC that should have probably been free. That's crazy. Anyway, moving on. This week, so speaking of Nintendo, we're talking all about Nintendo, ladies and gentlemen. We're asking one simple question: which Nintendo home console, Hunter, had the best year 1?
Yeah. This is one that spawned off of me from just kind of the discussion around the Switch 2 and how it's been so far. Being like, oh, it's not hitting the same as the Switch 1. And I'm like, I wonder how much that because like we have the direct comparison of that. And then like if you reach back into the doldrums of your head, the Wii U seemed kind of barren for most of it. So
yeah.
So I was just kind of wondering how it stacks up compared to the rest of Nintendo's history that way.
Well, I think it's going to be interesting because I'm not inherently a Nintendo, fan. I didn't grow up with Nintendo. So obviously some of these consoles were way before my time regardless. But then even the ones that were part of my time, I never really got to experience properly until the love that is the Wii U. So it's going to be interesting. I'm going into this blind, really, and you're just going to spout a load of games to me, and I'll be like, oh, okay. I genuinely, if you ask me what came out year 1 of N64, I'm like, Mario 64. See you next time.
Yeah, this was a learning experience for me in a ways because like a lot of the, 3 of these consoles came out before I was born.
Yeah.
And then I didn't really experience the N64 or GameCube or even the Wii really in real time. It was kind of, like we had a Wii while it was still the current system, but it was also in like 2008.
I like to think of it as like the bleeding effect from Assassin's Creed, where it's like everything starts mixing together, where it's like I have a lot of kind of opinions and experiences on PS1 games, but the PS1 was kind of been and gone before I started even playing them because I played a lot of them backwards compatible on PS2. So it's like it's merging together, Hunter, where it's like I have
I know what you
experiences of
mean.
things that I shouldn't because it's all over the place. It's all bleeding into one. So it's going to be interesting for sure. So if that sounds like your jam, come on in. The water's just fine. And yeah, if you enjoy it, maybe we'll do this for other consoles as well. Maybe we'll do it for PlayStation. Maybe we'll find out if Xbox has ever had a video game that's released on it. Who knows?
That one would be really funny because that'd just be us sitting there going, It
That
seems
would
like
just be
there's
a
a
vibe
lot.
check.
But
That genuinely would just be a vibe check. It'd just like,
it'd be like, well, Halo was pretty big, wasn't it? Thumbs up for you.
Halo Infinite, okay, it did. I think it finally did. I think it's took over a year, so I don't think that counts.
Yeah.
That console's now $650, so
Oh my god.
mwah, perfect. We love inflation. We love game prices increasing in the year 2025 for no reason at all, Hunter. No reason. It's just from vibes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, let's dive right into it. But hey, bit of housekeeping for you. Obviously, thank you so much for your support last week. If you can keep that up, that'd be fantastic. You can watch us on youtube.com/hotgamersonly or on your podcast services. Your favorite one? Just search Hot Gamers Only. We're on it. It's just that simple. Or if you go to Linktree/hotgamersonly, you can find every single podcast service that we're possibly on. And hey, check it out. Leave us with a follow, a like, and a subscribe. That would be very much appreciated. On the website right now, hotgamesonly.com, Carl's got his latest article up, so if you want to go check that out, feel free. We're going to have more reviews coming up imminently as more games get released, so be sure to check all of those out too. Anyway, let's just dive in, shall we? I just think I'm very excited for this. We're starting before our time. This is like, Hunter, I want to take you back a second. Picture this, right? Okay. Color hadn't been invented yet.
Nope.
Picture it, these early creatures. They just walked around in black and white. They had this weird TV in the corner that kind of did something with some cathode rays. Okay, like just weird technology. Okay, these arcades. They went to these things called arcades. I don't know if you've heard of them. It's like you had to go outside to play video games, and that's pretty cringe, to be honest.
That's like the antithesis of what they are.
I know, right? It's ironic now because, like, in the past, gamers used to be people that went outside, and now gamers never go outside. They're not allowed. They burn up in the sunlight like vampires. So the arcades died, and then Nintendo, this little playing card company called Nintendo, they were like bored one day, and I think there was this guy called Shigeru Miyamoto, and I think he just was bashing his head on the wall, and he was like, "I'm bored. I'm gonna do something else." So they made this thing called the Famicom.
Yeah.
And it played arcade games at home. It was a revelation. Everyone was like, "Whoa, that's crazy. This isn't Pong. This is like a real video game. That's pretty cool. We should buy one of these." And then they were like, "We should sell this to the Americans." And what do Americans like, Hunter? You guessed it, guns. So they packaged it with a gun, and then it sold like hotcakes. And the new video game industry was born. And that is a history lesson right there. And at some point, color was invented. I don't know where I was going with that bit, but just shove that in there somewhere. It was invented at some point.
Color wasn't invented until we were born. Everything else just added it retroactively.
I think it's true. There is no proof that color was there because everything's in black and white. You've got a great point, Hunter. You've got a great point. But yeah, so the NES.
So yeah, the NES had a interesting release as far as Japan got it as the Famicom 2 years earlier than North America. It was out in Japan in 1983.
Yeah.
So that's crazy.
It took them 2 years to invent the gun. That's how long it took.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. But because of that, Japan's year one mostly consisted of just ports of the arcade games and not like any of the. It didn't even have like Super Mario yet because that didn't come till 85, and a lot of the other things that you would assume so, you would naturally associate with the NES. So
Totally.
North America got the NES in October of 1985, and then it came to Europe in '86
We
later
always got
on.
stuff like that at that point, dude.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like what's crazy to me is I think a lot of people, like a lot of kids these days, would be like blown away that like there was regional differences, and I'm sitting there going, it wasn't that long ago. Like it genuinely wasn't that long ago. If I remember correctly, like Pokemon was still doing regional releases in like Gen 6. I remember having to wait like 3 weeks for Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, just like twiddling my thumbs, going, what am I supposed to do here while everyone else is playing? It's like Japanese games have only just come around to it in like the last like 5 years. Like Persona
yeah,
5
yeah.
was like a year later. So it's like the idea of just hearing stuff about games and just having to sit there on your like on your thumbs is a very European thing that I was very much used to at that point. So
Yeah.
yeah, the whole console though, just like that's crazy.
So yeah, because of these regional differences, a lot of the things that you would think would be, present in the first year of the console aren't.
Mm.
Because, Japan got it in '83, so we can't really use that lineup because, it doesn't even have Super Mario. And then all of the other games that came in like '86, like Zelda and Metroid and Castlevania and a number of others, didn't really come to North America or Europe within the boundary of a year that we've set for this
Mm.
discussion. Some
I
of it
think
came
it's
out in
like
like '87 or later in '86.
I think what you got to remember about the NES, right, was it was kind of the first of its kind.
Yeah,
So the release cadence it almost didn't really matter. Games came out when a game was, they would make a game in 12 to 24 weeks and they'd just be like, right, stick it on shelves. Like, it was just kind of it was a toy. A lot of
yeah,
Western audiences, especially, considered it a toy. So, and the NES had such a long life as well. And I mean, you had the SNES didn't come in until, what was it, 92? What year was it?
um, in Japan it was '90, in North America it was '91, and then I think Europe got it in '92.
I've got the
So
European brain, dude. I've got the
yeah,
European brain.
you've got the accurate number for yourself.
Yeah. But it was a long time. That's like quite a long time for a system like the original Nintendo. That is quite a long time to have that kind of system living.
Yeah, because later on when I was looking up, games that came out in 1990 and '91 and such for the Super Nintendo, still getting a lot of NES games like the Mega Mans and the uh, Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest and stuff. You know, a lot of
Yeah.
that NES games that were still coming out, and I was like, okay.
But I think like in this discussion, I think it's only fair that, like you say, Japan was different. It came out a lot earlier. I think the one that you go for here, just based on the first year, would have to be America, because I think that was like
Yeah,
the big revolutionary moment. Europe, yes, we had the NES, but also I think everything often, especially when you're talking about video games, has an American lens to it. And the NES wasn't that popular. It wasn't, I shouldn't say it wasn't that popular. It wasn't as popular in Europe. Like the PC scene in Europe is huge. In the
yeah.
UK, we had so many different PCs that everybody was making that, people played on. Even the BBC was making computers at that, but
Mhm.
everybody was making computers. And Sega was also massive over here uh, during that era. So it's like, I feel like Nintendo doesn't really pick up in our kind of zeitgeist until the N64, really, like later SNES, N64. So I think it's like
And even then,
America
I
very much
feel
for
like
NES. That's where you'd go for that first gen.
Europe was very much more inclined towards the PlayStation by then when that came out too,
Yeah,
right?
even then, but
Yeah.
I feel like especially at the like it was so Sega coded when it comes to the main two, and then PlayStation kind of took over Sega's role there. But um, it's like we've had these conversations before, dude. I knew one kid that owned a GameCube. I knew one kid that owned a GameCube.
Yeah.
Everybody had a Wii, but I think Wii's different. Wii was like a zeitgeist.
yeah, Wii was inescapable. When your
But anyway,
grandparents have it, then you
everybody
know,
bar me had a Wii. Okay, I was the only
yeah.
person that didn't. Right, year one, NES.
Year one. So what we've got here is a kind of list of games, but
Yeah.
uh, Super Mario Bros. Obviously,
Yep.
October '85, and then from there, Ice Climber came out within the first year. Duck Hunt was also packaged, at launch with it,
Yep.
as famously known. Other ones include Soccer, just
The
for the
classic.
NES, a classic, which I'm sure was revolutionary for its time.
It's
I
sure
wouldn't
those
really
sports games.
know.
I don't know. Have you played them? Have you played the sports games?
I
They're not
have,
good. They're
I
not
have,
good. I'm
I
sorry
have
if you
looked
grew
at
up with
them
them.
out
Fair
of
play.
morbid curiosity a couple of times. And I'm like,
They're not good.
exciting.
They're not. They're just. They're very bad. But hey ho.
Yeah. Wrecking Crew, the other
Yeah.
kind of nebulous ties to Mario there game.
Totally.
Dick Dug 2 was one that made it inside the boundary, which I'm sure came out on arcade first, but
Yeah, I was gonna
still
say,
good
where's
for
Dig Dug One at? Where's my homie Dig Dug
I
One?
yeah.
It was a board
Gyromite,
game. It was a
the
board game. Yeah. Sorry. Carry on.
Gyromite, the Rob classic thing.
Yeah, the
You know,
classic.
I've never played that, but Smash Brothers has made me very aware of what it is.
Don't worry, I'm sure there'll be a Rob Nintendo Classics Edition on the Nintendo store imminently for
Oh yeah.
$300, so you can play it on your Switch too.
And then one of the last notable ones that I saw, because basically the way I checked this was typing in the list of game or year of the games in question on Google, and then it gives you like the list of them. And I was like,
Yeah,
all right, notable enough to show up on the page here. That's what we'll go with. And the last one on the thing here is Excite Bike,
the classic,
the famous Smash Bros. Trophy again.
the famous Mario Kart 8 track. Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Uh, I mean, you have got some classics there. I mean, Duck Hunt and the original Mario Bros. Classics. Yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
I think it's like Mario 1, it's such a weird game to me because it is very archaic, yet it's still very much playable. Where it's like a
Yeah,
lot of
it's
NES games, unless you grew up with them, are very hard to get into, whereas Mario it still very much feels like you can pick up and play Mario and then there's no issue whatsoever. So it's a genius little game. It's very much kind
yeah,
of.
yeah.
There's a reason everyone
Definitely the
praises
reason it
Miyamoto. There's
was
a reason.
yeah, it's definitely the reason that, Nintendo was able to form its empire going forward around it and all of that,
Totally.
whereas a lot of the other NES games are kind of rough as far as playability. Like I played the NES version of the old Double Dragon games and stuff near the beginning of the year, and I'm like, oh my god, I would not have been able to do this without the benefit of like saving every screen that I pass.
Yeah, very true. I don't know. I feel what would you rank it, Hunter? If you had to give it like a grade, what would you
Well,
give it? It's a hard one because it's not that impressive, but also it's weird because it's in its own little club. It's like it's not a general it's
it
a
does
toy.
lay the foundation
Yeah.
for what we would get going forward later. But yeah, like even I feel like all the even what was impressive here, I feel like the Super Nintendo versions of all these games would eclipse them.
Yeah,
I don't know.
totally.
I think I think the historical value gets it as far as a B.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. I respect that. I respect that. Um I'm just trying to. I'm hoping I don't crash anything, but I was just thinking because we do not have a fancy. We do not have a fancy little tier list or anything this time around. So I'm just thinking if we do. Oh, hello. That's very big. This is live editing, ladies and gentlemen. Can you believe it? That's crazy. Let's give it an NES. What were you thinking? What were you thinking? Hunter? What were you
I
thinking?
was saying B.
A B. Nice.
Yeah.
I'll agree with you for now. I was gonna give it like a C, like a passing grade, but like
Yeah.
we can go with like a B for now. Let's just make that small like that, and then we'll just we'll come back to this. We'll keep it under my little profile for that, like that. There you go. You see, we got a little B tier there. I'll add to it later. It's gonna be great. We're gonna have a great time. Fun little podcast.
Yeah.
Fun little podcast. If you're an audio listener, it's a letter. You can listen to that. You know what that means. It's great. It's great.
Yeah.
It works. Perfect. No issues.
So yeah, as mentioned already, though, like in my things like Zelda, Metroid, Castlevania, River City, and so on, like Japan would have been great to have a Nintendo for 85 to 86, but you
Yeah.
know, you also had to hold on to your console for an additional 2 years beforehand, not
Totally.
having all these great things yet.
Totally. Right.
But yeah,
Let's move over
this will
to
take.
the Super Nintendo, right?
Yeah.
So
So
Super
the
Nintendo.
SNES came out in Japan in November of 99, or not 99, 1990. Sorry,
Yeah.
smashing my numbers together there. North America was August of 91, and then the UK got it in April of 92.
Hell yeah.
And
You love to see
like
it.
like I mentioned earlier, the NES was still being heavily supported by then. So a
Mm-hmm.
lot of the notable games of the time were still NES games rather than Super Nintendo games. But what we got here for I think technically just because of like the way the timing came out, within the boundary of the year, the UK has a few more games of note, although they're mostly the same list here. North America got Super Mario World, Street Fighter
Yeah.
2, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Time. I don't remember which number that is anymore, but my older brother played that one when I was or when he was younger, and he always tells me I should play it,
Ah. Oh,
or
hello.
any
I just
or
broke
any of
everything.
those.
Yeah.
And then Super Ghouls and Ghosts, the Ghosts and Goblins sequel, whereas UK's list pretty much the same, but you also got Super Mario Kart within that first year.
Wow. Banger. Banger.
Yeah, that was out of bounds for North America.
You're not allowed it. You're not allowed it. Sorry, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm trying to fix my editing on the fly like a naughty, naughty boy, where I should probably be actually focusing on what you're talking about. So yeah, SNES. It's a SNES. There you go. That's the original. There you go. That's like the first thing that we have to talk about is how you say the thing, because you Americans, you sitting there with your SNES, and I'm like, what's an SNES, bro? Everyone called it the SNES. Like that's what we called it over here in the big old land of the unfree in Europe. We were like, it's the
Yeah,
SNES, dude. It's not a
that sound you make when you sneeze.
yeah, SNES chew.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh,
it's the SNES is weird for me because it's like I feel like it's the console from Nintendo that I know the absolute least about, like for sure. I think it's just because it's one of those ones where it's like again, Nintendo wasn't that big here for me anyway, and
yeah.
then the old YouTube, the old era of YouTube, really, really loved the NES. Like there was so many like channels about the NES. You know, you had the Angry Video Game Nerd was talking a lot about NES stuff, and it's like the SNES is like obviously you've got like Mario World and stuff like that, but it's like the actual library itself, not too familiar with. How about you? How much of the SNES have you played in your time, Hunter?
I've played not a whole. I'd wager I've played more of the SNES than I have, the NES library, just because like going back to things like Super Metroid and Link to the Past. Super Metroid and Link to the Past and all of that. Um, a little bit of Street Fighter here and there. I got more in on that than the NES, which is a bridge too far in a lot of places as far as being archaic and silly. I think you're muted now.
I'm muted. No.
Yeah.
I was trying to hold your silence for you, but I did such a terrible job because I'm so utterly like fascinated by trying to get this little thing that I've done, this little group of goblin-y. I feel like I'm making it worse every single time I touch it. You know what? I'm just gonna leave it. I am just gonna leave it like that, and we're gonna vibe with it. I'm happy. I'm not, but I'm gonna ignore it. Now you're muted. So how does it feel?
Yeah.
How does it feel?
Yeah. I neglected to say this one out loud for some reason, but A Link to the Past was also in the list of Year 1 games for both North America and
Europe.
I don't know why I skipped over that one, but yeah,
It's a
that was
banger.
also there. Yeah, pretty good one.
Yeah.
All things considered. Pretty fair improvement over the first two.
I mean, I feel like obviously the SNES it's kind of the NES on steroids, right? It's just like it's making
it's
very similar games, but a lot better and a lot better looking.
Yeah, pretty much obsoleting the previous ones with like maybe the exception of Castlevania.
Yeah. I think it's a pretty solid lineup, all things considered.
Yeah, Mario in probably its best iteration in 2D, and then the birth of Mario Kart happened, and
only in Europe.
Yeah, only in Europe. And
I
then,
think we should bin Europe off, dude. If America's got it, then America got it. You know, if they did it, they did it, and there you go. Like, yeehaw! I'm American now.
Yeah.
SNES.
But yeah, and then Link to the Past, also very solid outing from Zelda, especially at the time it was their best one.
Yeah, dude, I think the SNES is a really strong launch lineup. I think it's pretty fantastic. Hunter is walking away. He has had enough. He doesn't want to know what I've been saying. And ladies and gentlemen, sometimes you just can't get the staff. I guess that means with Hunter having run away, that it is my job. Oh, he's coming back. No, I was going to rank it and move on by myself, but he's coming back. He's storming the castle.
The doctor is causing a ruckus today.
I know, right? Yeah, you're having a little. I will not say that because family-friendly podcast. Family-friendly podcast. A ruckus indeed. I think this is. I feel like what said is done. If we're giving the NES a B, we've given the NES a B. I still think we should have given it a C now that I'm looking back at it, but I feel like regrets are something that I have all the time on this show, and I feel like we should just live in the moment. The SNES, I think it's an A, dude. I think that you've got the best Mario, one of the best Zeldas.
Yeah.
What's not to like? What's not to like?
A is especially solid advancement for its time too. I would say A is fair.
Fair enough. There we go. An A for you, SNES. Congratulations. Moving on.
All right. So the Nintendo 64 came out in Japan in June of 96. North America got it in September of 96. And then PAL got it in March of 97.
Awful console.
Yeah. The staggered releases have started to get a little smaller as far as for the regions. Yeah. And the same pretty much the same could be said about, the way the games came out. Pretty much by now I was able to look at them like whatever time difference there was, it was basically equivalent in the region as far as the games. So I didn't have to cross-reference so much anymore.
I think the N64 is such an interesting console. It really is. Obviously, we'll get to Mario 64. A generational game, a game that built created the 3D platformer genre as we know, except quite a few 3D platformers came out before it. But we'll ignore that. We'll
Yeah.
ignore that. We'll give it a wink and a nudge. But it was one of the first properly good ones. Again, it
Yeah.
feels like
One of the first functional ones.
Crash Bandicoot is fantastic. I think Crash Bandicoot is a wonderful game. The sequels are better, but I think the first one's a good foundation. But I think Mario 64 very much created what a lot of modern platformers followed, the rule set, the open
The
zone
open
areas.
air collectibles and whatnot. Crash Bandicoot is
Traversal
still very
being
much
more of the mechanic rather than just straight up platforming, which is very interesting. But the N64 is weird to me. I don't have a soft spot for the N64. There are a couple of games that I love on the N64, but most of them, I don't know. There's something about the N64, dude. There's something about it. Didn't grow up with it.
Yeah.
Get the heebie-jeebies from some of them, dude. Get the heebie-jeebies.
You don't like its weird controller?
No, the controller's awful.
Yeah.
I still haven't changed my mind on that. It's not good. It's not good at all. Anyway, let's talk about the launch lineup, though. Who cares about the controller?
Yeah, so obviously we had Mario 64 within the first year, launched with the console. So, we just discussed how important that one was. Mario Kart 64 made the first year as well.
Unpopular opinion. I do not like Mario Kart 64. Is that an unpopular opinion? I think it's not that great.
It seems to be one that a lot of people, especially our age, like, because it seems that everyone's favorite. Yeah, it seems that everyone's favorite is just the one that you grow up with, which is why I like Crash Team Racing the most.
True. I believe that is. I think if you look that up, I believe that is the correct and based opinion. I do think that is the correct one. But
it's the scientific one.
Scientifically, it is the best one, dude. I also don't understand why you would sit and go, oh yeah, Mario Kart, Diddy Kong Racing's also there, and that's also better. So I'm sitting there and I'm going, not even second place, dude, third place. It's barely on the podium. If Sonic R actually, showed up instead of doing whatever it did, spent all its money on the soundtrack, then, maybe we'd have a contest. But yeah, I think Mario 64 is one of those interesting ones where I think if you grew up with it, you love it. And if you didn't, I'm just kind of very indifferent to it. I'm very indifferent towards Mario 64. I think don't hate it as much as we. Like, Wii fans are nutty. Wii fans are nutty.
Yeah, I feel like that can be said for just about every Mario Kart game.
Except the ones I like. Those are base. Those are great. The ones that I like, Hunter, they're fantastic. Mario Kart DS. Fantastic video game. Anyway, what else happened? What else?
Star Fox 64 made it the first year, and that became what Star Fox would be for every time they wheel it out forevermore.
It's crazy that they just keep remaking the same game over and over.
Without remaking it is the best part. They always have to find some goofy twist to make it worse.
Yeah.
But, Star Fox 64, I replayed that in the intermittent time that I was playing around with Switch 2 and the subscriptions and stuff, and still pretty solid as far as that goes.
It's all right. It's all right.
Yeah, pretty good. I see why they keep trying to copy their success. It was pretty good for the thing it's supposed to be.
It's also only like 2 or 3 hours, so it's like, it's very easy game for them to remake because there's not that much of a game to remake every time, so they can spend half the development cycle making stuff to make it worse each time. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
3DS version's pretty good though.
Yeah, the multiple routes and stuff was fun as far as that goes. I wish that, one thing years later that I've come to wish for retrospectively, besides, being able to save in the middle of doing something, is being able to, after you beat the game, just choose whatever level you want. Would be cool.
Yeah.
Assuming you beat them through going through a round. Obviously, I don't think you should be able to jump to, hard mode level 5 or whatever if you haven't been there yet.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I think that it's this. The N64 is interesting because with the whole cartridge-based system, you don't have a lot of third parties. By this point, yes, you have your classic Nintendo games, but you know, on the SNES, you had all those incredible Final Fantasy games. You had
Yeah.
all those incredible kind of Capcom games that were coming out. You had a load of cool stuff that was being released. And then the N64 came out and everybody kind of jumped ship to PlayStation. So, you know, Final Fantasy 7, PlayStation, Resident Evil, PlayStation,
Or
Sega.
if they did exist that way, they were drastically different. Like
Mm.
one I've got listed here is Mortal Kombat Trilogy,
Mm.
which was like a console version of Mortal Kombat 3, which with a bunch of extras from the first two games. Drastically different as far as like the nuts and bolts of the game on the PS1 and N64 versions. I don't
Yeah.
remember all the science behind why they're different anymore. I just know that, you know, some competitive, like, it's different enough for the competitive scenes to have to split them, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, other notable releases: Wave Racer 64, the jet ski racing game.
That is a video game.
Yeah, it got.
Here's the thing, dude, is it's like now in retrospect, when you're playing N64, whatever they call it now, Nintendo Classics, because they've changed it, they're not NSO anymore, but whatever, it's like, you're sitting there and you're going, that's very cool. When you then look back and you find out that it was like 79.95, and then you sit there and you go,
Oh my
was it
god, yeah.
79.95 cool? Like, that's the problem with the N64, is a lot of these games are cool, but then it's like, okay, if you're a mom who is, you know, buying an N64 for your kids, right? You'll get like 2 games. Like you'll have Mario 64, you might get Star Fox. You're not getting anything else for a long time because everything's so blooming expensive.
Yeah,
So
a
it's
lot of
like,
these are in a lot of like the non-Nintendo or Rareware games in the N64 library are like, you know, blockbuster fodder.
dude,
Where you'd rent,
legit, you had to.
where you'd rent them because you didn't want to spend top dollar
Like,
for
wasn't
all
it
of that.
ridiculous? Like, I did not. That did. I nearly did. I nearly did. I nearly did. That doesn't count. I flipping. What was I going to say? I was too busy trying to catch myself from saying a naughty word that I like Chrono Trigger was
Rentals.
super expensive.
Yeah.
Chrono Trigger was like ridiculously expensive back in the day. And it's just like, how did people do it? How did weebs exist back in the day? Who knows?
Honestly, though.
Should have tried a bit harder, guys. We could have made it harder for people to become weebs, though. You know what I'm saying? Could have. You tried your hardest. You nearly got rid of them, but they clawed their way back. They clawed their way back.
Anyway, rounding out the list of notable games from the first year, GoldenEye 007, very famous for being a
Awful.
functional.
I get you. Oh, God,
Awful now.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. But functional first-person shooter on a console was novel at the time, and then also Doom 64 made it the first year, which is fun.
Yeah. If you want to play if you don't want to play the PC version like a real gamer, you know what I'm saying? If you want to play a little Goo Goo Gaga Doom 64, you play Goo Goo Gaga Doom 64. You know, you do it. It's actually a good version. It's actually a good. This is pretty good, but you know.
Yeah. Doom 64 is pretty solid. It was very weird when I got it with Eternal back in 2020. Mostly because having 64 tagged onto a game I'm playing on my PlayStation was a very strange cognitive thing to experience.
Yeah, I bet. Here's the thing. I think what Nintendo usually does well with its kind of launch lineups is, you know, it has a linchpin.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, N64. I think the issue with N64 wasn't necessarily the games, it was the price. I think that was the issue with the N64, and the reason the PlayStation took off as it did was because games were way cheaper, the console was cheaper, and it was cheaper to make games for, so a load of developers jumped ship. So it was like, it's such a, you know, you got Mario 64, you got Star Fox 64, Wave Race, you know, you've got some really good games, but you also had really strong competition. It's a hard one. I think there's some really great games there.
Definitely.
I don't know. What are you thinking, Hunter? What are you thinking?
This feels like another B to me.
I feel like we're giving the NES too much credit if we're giving this a B.
Yeah.
I'm enacting the I feel the parent the Uno reverse card, and I say we move NES down to C and an N64 to a B. I think that is the comfy way to go about it.
All right, fair enough.
Just because I think the NES had some good stuff, but also it had, soccer.
It also had soccer. That's true.
There you go.
Uh,
C for clean, just like this podcast. I'm just tempting fate at this point. I'm tempting fate. I've nearly done it already. Do you know what will make me angry? Actually, the GameCube. That will make me angry. Let me get my filter ready. My
All right. Well,
yeah,
the
go for it.
GameCube came out in Japan in September of 2001, North America in November of 2001, and then Europe in May of 2002.
Yeah, and one person bought it, and it was that guy from my primary school's mum. And then I was like, wow, this is a weird console.
Yeah, it was certainly strange as far as, just...
I think GameCube fans, there's a lot of GameCube fans, but I think this is the first Nintendo console that I think truly was a kind of fumble, where this wasn't the console that it needed to be at the time.
Oh, yeah.
I think PlayStation had kind of set the precedent, which is this. It's the same issue that both Microsoft and Sony later also fumbled in future generations, which was going too much into making it as powerful as possible at the expense of it being too expensive, like, the cost of the thing. Where PlayStation 2 came out, not only did it come out before the GameCube, but it was also super cheap and it had a DVD player built into it.
Yeah.
And everybody buys
And
it.
also, its launch lineup for that year was dynamite.
Yeah. Whereas the GameCube, even though it was a fantastically, the hardware was fantastic, but it had arbitrary smaller discs. It didn't have the third party support, and it was just way too expensive. And PlayStation 3 did the exact same thing afterwards, and then the Xbox One followed suit and was like, yeah, we'll also fall on the same sword back to back. And Xbox is now falling on that same sword straight again.
And now we've got modern day where everyone's just swan diving into the swords.
Dude, I don't know what you're on about. I am on my way right now to spend $800 on a 2 terabyte Xbox Series X. We love it. To play a game that I can play on PC at
Anywhere.
the exact same price. Yeah. Anyway. List some games, because I like GameCube, Luigi's Mansion, really.
Yeah, so at the start we had Luigi's Mansion was like the launch game, and then strangely enough, Smash Brothers Melee like a week or two after it launched, rather than launching with it, which is super silly, but at least it was there quickly. Within the first year, you still got Mario Sunshine, which a lot of people wish they didn't nowadays, but Metroid Prime managed to make the year one as well, which is
might make year one a Switch 2 as well. Wow, what crazy.
Yeah.
Missed the entirety of a generation, but it came for the year one on the next one. Don't you worry about
it. Yeah. Animal Crossing came out to both of Japan and North America in the first.
There has to be an asterisk on that one, Hunter, because it was originally an N64 game in Japan. So it was new for America, but it was an N64 game originally.
And for some reason, Europe didn't get it until like a couple of years after the fact.
Which is very funny, because Animal Crossing to me screams Europe. It's a very European game, I feel like a lot of Europeans like plodding around doing nothing. So I feel like that is the kind of vibe, I feel like it's a great fit. Great game. Great game.
And yeah, as you mentioned before, the third-party support for this console was middling at best. Capcom had, their thing with they gave them some Resident Evil games. Resident Evil 0 was the one that made year one of GameCube. I think the remake of the first game probably came the following year.
Yeah. Only ever
Um,
released on the GameCube, just like they promised. Only on the GameCube.
yeah, yeah.
Never on anything
Um,
else.
never anything else.
Still to
Wrath
this
of
day.
Cortex made it,
Didn't do as well as they hoped,
which
Hunter. Didn't do as well
yeah,
as they
it
hoped.
didn't do as well as they hoped. Isn't GameCube T-Walk like the optimal speedrunning version?
It
Or did I make
it
that up?
it's technically Xbox 360 via Xbox backwards compatibility.
Ah, okay.
But Xbox, I think Xbox is the better version, but GameCube's like in the middle. It's not like
Okay.
PS2 levels of bad,
Right,
but
right. Because the
that game's
PS2 was
bad
the one with the
regardless.
yeah.
Dude, I would love to know how much time as a kid of my childhood, how much of my childhood was wasted by the T-Walk
On
loading
those
screens.
loading screens? Yeah,
Oh,
I know, right?
good
Uh,
chunk, good chunk.
and then another third party game that uh, people who talk about the GameCube always seem to speak of fondly was Time Splitters 2. I never played it myself, but goofy little arcade or first person shooter.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, right. I think, you've got some good games here, Hunter. It's not bad. I think if this was a modern lineup, like where the games would be if a brand new Smash Bros. Came out year one, people would go mental.
Yeah.
But, Melee fans, they love Melee. It's got a special place in a lot of people's hearts. It's like it's SNES in a way where it's like, it's Smash 64 but better. It's Smash 64 but better, and there's a handful of
Yeah.
new characters in it.
It's Melee was the gift that kept on giving for me when I was younger.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of discoverability with the. I really wish the adventure mode as it exists in that game would come back. Like, I don't need
Totally.
a crazy story mode like the Subspace Emissary anymore, because trying to do that with
Or
the
World of
roster
Light.
that yeah, and World of Light was bloated to the point of silliness. But being
That
able to
was
run
torture.
through,
That was genuinely
yeah,
torture.
being able to run through a goofy little, exist through the world of these games here and there, and just
Totally.
select a couple that you want to work with rather than having to represent everybody.
Yeah,
I think
totally.
it worked the best.
But then you have Luigi's Mansion, which is a good game. Don't get me wrong. It's a terrible launch game. Like, that is genuinely, like, quite possibly the worst game that you could put on a console in terms of mass appeal. You want a big mass appeal game like a Zelda or a Mario Kart on launch, and
Wind
Luigi's
Waker
Mansion
just
is not a.
Wind Waker just barely missed the boundary for the first year or two. I think
People were
it
too
hit
busy
like
screaming that it had colors or something. They hated it.
that's true. People hated it when it came out.
Yeah. We'd have to
You're
dock
right.
it points if it actually was there, because even though it's a brilliant game at the time, it was cringe. So we'd have to dock it
Yeah.
points. Um,
But yeah.
I'm thinking B here, dude. I think there's some good stuff here. Maybe even a
Yeah.
C, but I don't know. It's like, it's fine. It does the job. There's some great games, but
Yeah. B seems right, I would say.
let's go with B then. We're being very fair here. We're being very fair. Being very fair.
Being, yeah.
The Wii. Everybody's
I wish
favorite console of all time. Fun fact. That's a fun fact for you,
I,
right?
I was shocked to see how many games came out in this little time pocket.
Yeah, but I want to see how many are good, Hunter, because that's the thing about is the Wii is, Nintendo's, well, until the Switch, it was Nintendo's most successful console ever. But I don't think it has the games to show for it. Like, I feel like it's one of Nintendo's weakest lineups of video games that they ever made. So it's like,
You see, that's what I'm saying, and I agree with that as far as what you mean. I was just also shocked to see how many of the how much of the good stuff actually came early.
well, let's find out
Was
then. Let's find out.
so uh came out in Japan in December of 2006. North America by somehow got it a month early in November, and then Europe also got it in December of 2006. So it's the most regular the releases have been so far. And then, you know, launch games or launch year games, you got Wii Sports, the obvious one there, the thing that
Mm-hmm.
impressed everybody's parents and
Everybody's
grandparents.
grandma was impressed by Wii Sports on Christmas of 2007.
Yeah, I know. um, I have it under here. Just this is not in terms of importance necessarily because I just put Wii Play right there because uh, everyone got it because it was packaged with the Wii remote.
And it's awful. It's an awful video
Yeah,
game. It's not a good
it's
video
not
game.
very good at all.
Terrible.
I counted The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess for the purposes of this discussion because I feel like we will also be counting, Breath of the Wild later.
Right. That's
So
fair. That's
Twilight
fair.
Princess gets the pass here because I feel like it was being marketed as a Wii game for a lot of all of the attention going there, despite the fact you could play it on the GameCube, and despite the fact that playing on the GameCube would let you play it with a controller, thus being
Despite the
better.
GameCube version being better, yes, for this argument's sake. We'll say it was, it was a dual lineup. Yeah, it was there.
Yeah.
It was there.
Mario Galaxy came out in 2007, but still within the year that it had to get there.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
As well as Metroid Prime 3 Corruption, Super Paper Mario, Mario Strikers Charged, Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn, the second Ike game.
Is that a good or a bad one on the Weeb scale? I don't know.
I don't know because I don't interact with Fire Emblem fans.
As Fire Emblem, as everyone hates Fire Emblem, so we'll just go with bad and we'll just hope for the best. I'll just say it's a bad
I've
one.
always been more interested in Ike's games than all of the other ones. And then WarioWare Smooth Moves
Banger
is another one. Yeah,
that's the best game you've listed so far, dude. What a game! What a game! The best WarioWare game. Not even.
And perhaps a mini game compilation that's not as enticing as someone who owned it and never really was that impressed. Mario and Sonic, the Olympic Games.
Oh, banger when you're like 9 years old and you don't have a brain. You know what I mean? Like that's a banger game if you're stupid. But yeah, in retrospect, not that great. The winter games was better. Is that a controversial take? Yeah. I think it was better because you had like toboggan and like skiing and stuff like that. Who cares about track and field, dude? I want to do some sick SSX tricky moves with much worse controls.
And then also at the bottom of the list, we got Capcom continuing to throw Nintendo a bone with Resident Evil: The Umbrella Chronicles, which is like the on-rail shooter where you point at
everyone's
the
favorite
screen. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Wii Sports is iconic. Mario Galaxy, phenomenal game.
Yeah.
Twilight Princess, it's good.
It's good.
Again, when you're looking at your lineups, though, it's like, and I'll say this a little bit for Switch. I will say this for Switch, where it's like, you could just play it on your GameCube.
Yeah.
As an offer of come on in. If you've not got a GameCube, then it's sick. But I feel like it's like a halfway house where it's like, you don't really need to upgrade for Wii Sports. Like, there's nothing else really enticing straight away if you don't need to. Was there anything else that I'm missing that was like big? WarioWare Smooth Moves, S tier, dude, S tier. I don't know. What are you thinking, Hunter, in terms of a grade here?
So honestly, when I was doing the research, I was fully expecting to only have Wii Sports and Twilight Princess.
Yeah, that's what I was expecting as well. I was expecting nothing to ever come out for this damn thing, but apparently something did.
But like, I guess the drought happened after Smash Brothers, or maybe even between here and Smash
like
Brothers.
Mario Kart Wii was around the same time, so yeah.
Yeah. And then basically you were picking at scraps for the rest of the Wii's life with like, Skyward Sword at the very end. But,
what are you thinking, Hunter?
This feels like, for this list of games, still feels like another E.
I agree because it's just like Mario Galaxy is phenomenal. If Twilight Princess was an exclusive, then I think that would move it up. But it's just I think that kind of halfway house, because it's like, we'll get to the Switch where it's like, yeah, if you could still play Breath of the Wild on your Wii U, but there was so much stuff that came out in that first year of the Switch that there was a reason then to move over. Whereas this, it's like, you've got Galaxy and Galaxy's phenomenal, but if you're not playing games with grandma, it's just kind of Galaxy. And Umbrella Chronicles, you know, like
Yeah, or like I feel like the audience for the other things was a bit more fragmented at the time, where Metroid doesn't exactly, I don't think, has a lot of crossover with Fire Emblem, and not especially not back in 2007.
yeah,
As
and
far
I
as
feel
people who are
like
interested in it.
I don't know, as a casual who hasn't played any of those games, I don't really hear about either of them that much.
Yeah,
I hear
as
much
far
more
as
about the
like,
first two Metroid Primes than I do three. Um, Same for um Fire Emblem. I hear about the GameCube Fire Emblem games. I don't
yeah,
hear about the Wii Fire Emblem games that much. If I'm honest, I start to associate in that era Fire Emblem with like when we get to 3DS. That's when I start to
yeah.
kind of when it comes back on my radar. Anyway, let's talk about one that will definitely end up in like the pits somewhere. Wii U. Everyone's favorite console. The first console I ever bought with my own money, which was a questionable decision that really just shows how terrible I am with money even to this day.
Yeah. All right, so the Wii U came out in Japan in December of 2012. North America and Europe got it in November of 2012. So again, very close together
We
here.
beta tested it with Zombie
Yeah,
U.
yeah, yeah. The way I've divided this list of games is funny because I think I just did this subconsciously, where it was
Mm-hmm.
like first party Nintendo games,
Bad.
third party stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
then what were you doing? Third party stuff.
Hell yeah. You love to see it. Let's go through it. Let's run through it.
All right, so it launched with New Super Mario Bros. U, I believe, came out on the day, which
Which not a tease at all because it's I think it's pretty like as a game, it's fine. It does the job. If you've never played a new Super Mario Bros. Game and you just play that one, then you'd be like, "Oh, that was a fun enough experience. I had a good time." The only issue is it's the fourth New Super Mario Bros. Game, and another one came out that year on the 3DS. So it's not
yeah,
even like it's just like who cares at that point? If you're a Nintendo fan, you're not looking at that and going, "Ooh, let me get my wallet out." I mean, let's be
yeah,
clear.
definitely.
No one said, "Ooh, let me get my wallet out" when they saw the Wii U, but yeah, definitely not
People didn't even
for
know what
that.
to get their wallet out for when they
Is
saw
it?
the Wii U.
Is it just the tablet? Did you plug your tablet into your Wii?
Yeah. Well, not
Mm.
interested in Super Mario Bros. U. They also had Nintendo Land.
It was kind of a vibe. It wasn't like. Here's the thing, though. It's like it's not. It's pretty good, but it's not like. It doesn't have that replayability of like a Wii Sports. You know what I mean? Like it. Like Nintendo Land is like a game where you want to play with friends, whereas Wii Sports, yeah, you could play it with your family and stuff like that, but then you could also just be like, oh, I feel like playing a game of bowling and seeing how high I can go, I'll play against the AI. There was like that kind of back and forth that you could play with it. You could mess around with it.
Nintendo Land also felt like, even with friends, the bit was kind of done after the first couple of times.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I didn't have a Wii U until a couple years into it, but the
Same.
girl I was dating at the time got it relatively before me, at least, and Nintendo Land was one of the things she had, and it was like, oh, neat, the little Metroid shooty, whatever. Is that what it was? Am I making things up? I don't
No, no,
remember
yeah, yeah.
anymore. But yeah, so those things were cool for the first time, and then a second time, and then I think the bit was old by then.
What you're telling me is that you saw Nintendo Land and you were like, I don't think this relationship's working out. And you stormed out. I don't
Not
think I could be
quite.
associated with somebody who bought a Wii
No, no.
U.
She bought me Skyward Sword a couple years prior, so like there was a lot of goodwill stored up.
Ah, there you go then. There you go.
Uh,
Still a special place in your heart to this day.
yeah. Pikmin 3 was another one that came out within the first year,
F
so
F
you know,
F F. We hate Pikmin
it
in this
does nothing
household.
for us, but it satisfied the freaks.
Yeah, it's satisfied three people. One of them's a puppet on YouTube, dude. It's not satisfying at all.
Super Mario 3D World made the first year as well.
Oh, well done.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, which yeah, figures
fantastic
because
game. I love it. Brilliant.
it really
The
felt
stamp
like
system, great. I love collecting the stamps in that game. What a great game.
in my mind's eye, it felt like it came out exactly when New Super Mario Bros. U did. It didn't, but they melded
No,
together in my
it
brain.
just only got through to the year like kind of anniversary. It was
Yeah,
just
yeah.
about there.
And then this one kind of surprised me because I thought it was a 2014 game, but Wind Waker HD
No,
made
that
it.
was early as well.
Yeah.
Do you know how I know if it's early or not? When the Wii U was in dire straits and they're like, please, please, anybody that buys Mario Kart 8 will just give you another game for free. Please, please buy something. And I just remember the games were Pikmin 3, New Super Mario Bros. U, 3D World, um, Wind Waker HD, and Nintendo Land. So those were the five
Ah,
first party games that I know came out in year one because they were kind of those linchpin free games. Please buy us. I can't remember
yeah.
if Wonderful 101 was a part of that. I don't think it was, but
Wonderful 101 did make the first year. This is in the
I know
list
it
of
did. Yeah.
yeah. It's one of the ones in the list of notable third parties, with Rayman Legends being, you know, one of the
Originally an
other ones. I know.
exclusive, a console so bad they said Uno Reverso and put it everywhere else, and they're the better versions in my opinion. Everyone's sitting there, the gamers out there are sitting there going, "Oh, but you lose the gamepad functionality," and I'm like, "Yeah," and the gamepad bit got old very quickly. So I'm grateful that it changed to a button press because it works much better.
This is like everybody who says that, playing the Switch version of Breath of the Wild was a step, but you don't have the map to look at, and I'm like, I would rather just press a
Yeah, the
button
Wii
anyway.
U.
You know
It's like,
what?
where's the yeah?
You
They
you
lost
want
the
to know
map.
you want to know how often I would look down to check my map anyway? Never.
Bro, it's like with the
Because
Switch
I
2
would
edition
want
of
the
the
world to
Zelda games,
stop
and it's like, do you
around
want
me
the yeah?
anyway.
It's like, do you want the GPS on your phone in the new Switch 2 editions of Zelda? I'm like, no, not really. I'm
Yeah.
never going to use that feature, really. I mean, it's only good if you're like a little gremlin like me who's like, ooh, where's that Korok seed? There it
Yeah.
is. Please give me my Zelda voice note that's not in the game but is on the mobile phone application. Thank you, Nintendo.
This is another one you like, although I think you played it elsewhere. Sonic All Stars Racing Transformed.
Yes, I did play it on. I played it on PC. This was back in my phase where I was playing games on PC. It happened, guys. I was a PC gamer for a tiny little bit. It was like near the end of the PS3 generation, so that adds up. Yeah.
Yeah. Sonic the Lost World was another one, as well as I only included this because things were so dire at the start of the Wii U. I remember people talking about this like it was a great old thing. Was Lego
Yeah,
City
because
Undercover?
Sega had handed instead of Capcom handing them a bone, Sega had handed them a bone and was like, "Hey guys, the next two Sonic games are going to be exclusive to Wii U." And those
Yeah,
two games were Sonic Lost World and Sonic Boom. The two Sonic Lost World is
I
not. Oh,
think
sorry,
Lost
three.
World
It was
was
three. Sorry, it was three games. It was Sonic Lost World, Sonic Colors, and Sonic Boom. And I think as games go, I think Colors is the one that's the most like. I don't remember.
yeah.
It was a timed
Isn't Color?
exclusive. Colors
I
did
thought
eventually
Colors
go
was on the
everywhere else.
Wii.
Oh, was that the Wii?
Yeah, I thought so.
Maybe it started with the Wii and carried on into the Wii U then. Maybe it was
Yeah,
Colors
I
then.
would think so.
Dude, I'm not a Sonic guy. I'm not a
Yeah,
Sonic guy.
neither am I. I'm just out here
Sonic All
comparing
Stars
my
Racing Transformed is fantastic though.
yeah.
It's a good game. It's a good game.
But
They
yeah,
should
I
make
think
another one of those. One
as
of the
far as
really
I can
cringy
tell
theme songs.
with
Sorry, carry on.
Lost World, that was
Mhm.
one that was describably fine.
It was like mid.
And
It was like a
yeah,
Sonic 75, which is like, and everybody else is like 68. It
yeah,
did the job. It wasn't as bad as some of the
it wasn't bad
war
as its
crimes that have been committed in the
predecessor,
previous
or I
generation.
mean, successor.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the third party, what are you doing here kind of deal. Assassin's Creed 3,
Banger. Everyone loves Assassin's Creed 3.
but why?
Ratunu
Um,
Vergedun. My favorite game.
Mass Effect 3 is perhaps the most perplexing one because you
Why
don't have
not,
the
dude?
other
End
two.
the trilogy on a high on Wii U with none of your choices.
Yeah, you don't have the other two games
Dude, I
that are
remember them in
supposed to be.
interviews. I remember them in interviews going, guys, we put a survey at the start so you can carry over your choices. Please play it on Wii U, please, please. And no
Um,
one did.
I wish they had kept that energy for Dragon Age 4. Um, Zombie U, the classic that I'm pretty sure,
To be
you
fair,
know.
people liked that game. It actually turned out it
Did
was
they
pretty
really?
interesting. Yeah, yeah. People were like,
Okay.
it's kind of slept on. People were like, hey, it's kind of cool.
Hmm.
So fair play. Um, did you mention Batman Arkham City Armored Edition?
I had Arkham Origins written down here, but I
Oh yeah,
must
well,
have
Armored Edition
Arkham.
was a launch game. It was like launch day.
Oh, that's right.
And then Origins would have been the year after. You see, I don't even need a Google search to know this. And the only difference between that one was that Batman had super like armor where you could press a button on the gamepad and then he'd have like electric fists.
Oh,
Just what we needed. And what's really funny is that's still exclusive. When they've ported, Return to Arkham and stuff like that, they never brought that back. So that's still a Wii U exclusive right there. Rock on, Wii U
amazing.
fans. Um, but yeah, it kind of it got the job done. But again, this was 2012, and the game that Arkham City was out in 2011, so it was already a year and a half old at this point.
Yeah.
Kind of, you've already played it if you wanted to care about it. Fair enough with Arkham Origins, that came out roughly when the other versions came out.
Yeah, but also like, why did you pick that version?
Yeah, why? Just why would you?
Yeah.
Dude, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Like, it's like, to me, it does nothing, dude. It does nothing. It's a bunch of ports I don't care about, and 3D World is the only saving grace for me of that first year. Like,
Yeah.
genuinely, I'd say it's a C tier. I would put it in C tier happily.
Saved by 3D World from being a D.
Genuinely, saved by like 3D World and Pikmin 3 for those who care.
Yeah, but like the Wii U, while in, experiencing it in real time, didn't feel like it hit its stride until like, 2015 when you had some games actually going for it. And in retrospect, never hit its stride. It tripped and kind of crawled to its knees and was put out of its misery.
True. So true, buddy. So very, very true. Moving on. The console that started this entire conversation,
The Nintendo Switch.
dude. What a year, dude. If we ever, get around to doing your PlayStations or your Sega or your Xboxes, and we come back to what is the best launch year for a console, I think the Switch has a very strong chance of being one of, if not one of the best years of a
It's
console's
got.
launch
I think
ever.
off the top of my head, it's got to be between the Switch and the PS2.
Yeah.
Just without.
PS4 might,
Exit.
from third party, PS4 might have quite a lot of good stuff as well. Like, it might just have not stuff that's exclusive because it was still cross generation. That's when you've got that with third party. That's when you've got that issue of, is it cross generation stuff. But
Yeah.
PS4 also had some really great games here. I remember first thing I played on my PS4, Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. What a video game!
Oh,
What a
nice.
game!
I
I'd
think
buy a
the
console
first
for that.
one. Yeah, I think the first one of like any consequence that I got around to playing. I didn't have a PS4 until I think 2015, maybe the end of 2014. But I played, Infamous Second Son on my brother's PS4.
What a game. I remember, this is not Nintendo related in the slightest, but I'm going on this tangent regardless. I remember, because I had my PS4 for Christmas in 2013. It was like a shared Christmas gift between my dad and myself. I remember, what the days, guys, there used to be these things called like game stores that you used to go into. Some people still have them.
Yeah.
In the UK, they're basically dead. But I remember going into the shopping center, watching my dad go into game. He wouldn't let me go in with him, and he just came out with this massive like bag, and I was just like, there it is. And now, because it was like November 21st, it's like now I've got to wait a whole month with it in my house, just not being able to play it. I then later found out, because there was like, it was a massive bag. I was like, what are you doing? You just went in for the console. And then, like, on Christmas Day, it's like, what did we had, like, I'm just trying to think. It was like Killzone, Shadowfall, Lego Marvel Superheroes, Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, Call of Duty Ghosts. There was like, it was like 6 games that we had. And I was like, why did you buy all these games? He's like, I didn't want to buy all these games. It was just we went into the store because my dad hadn't pre-ordered one. And they were like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, we've got a couple that no one's bought, but they're part of bundles. And my dad was like, yeah, screw it. We'll buy all the games. Who cares? So yeah, great launch PS4 had. But what was better? The Switch one, dude. What a year.
Yeah.
What a year.
Oh my god. Yeah, I didn't get it right away, but I don't know if did I
I
say it
did.
already?
FOMO, baby,
March,
FOMO.
yeah,
Yeah.
March 3rd, worldwide in 2017.
Yeah. What I remember vividly, right? It was like one. I just remember I didn't have one pre-ordered, and then I saw everyone was playing Zelda, and I was in uni, first year of uni, and I was like, I kind of want it. I kind of want it. And so I like go looking it up. I'm like, checking stock checkers. Everything's out of stock everywhere. And then I see at like a Tesco, like a supermarket. That's like a a
Yeah,
Walmart or something for you guys,
yeah.
probably. They had like one in stock, and this was like a 50-minute drive. It wasn't a short
Oof.
drive. It wasn't a let me just go around the corner. It was like a 50-minute drive, and I just sat
Oh,
there and I was like, FOMO. Oh, I swear, no! All right, I'm gonna beep
uh,
that one out. I'll beep it out. Put a timestamp. I'll beep it out. I said, frick. That's what I said. I'll bleep that one out. So
Dude,
close.
yeah, I know how
I
this
was so
story
passionate
ends,
about the
but could you
Nintendo Switch. I was
imagine?
so passionate. I
But
drove
could
over
you
there.
imagine if you drove that hour for somebody who have bought it in the
Oh,
in
I
between?
reserved it. I went online and I
Oh,
reserved
okay.
that Switch, and then I drove over there. I'm not insane, mate. I'm not insane. Um, but yeah, and then I walked out with it, and they were like, "Oh, this must be a pretty popular thing. People have been coming in for this today." And I'm like, "Yeah, pretty big deal." So much so that I swore on our PG friendly podcast. It's over an hour anyway. It'll be fine. But I just like the bit
Yeah,
now of us being a
yeah, yeah.
family friendly podcast, so I will censor it just for fun.
You have to
Um,
stop swearing, and I have to not be out of pocket in other ways now.
Yeah, like I just find it a fun challenge because I feel like some people, if you've listened to this podcast before, you might think that I am like a sailor with sometimes the amount of times I swear on this podcast. But it turns out it's just really this podcast for the most part. Like I like in
Make-
my regular day-to-day life, I very rarely swear actually. It's usually just playing the occasional online video game and getting excited like that. That's usually
yeah,
when I'm usually pretty good. But regardless, it's just that it was like that vibe, picking up Breath of the Wild for the first time, which I could have played on my Wii U, but I didn't. I played it on my Switch. And then I think what the Switch launch year did and did such a good job was it just kept the momentum going. You just felt that
yeah,
hype throughout all of it. It didn't let you stop. It felt like Nintendo was giving like a last ditch effort on, here we go. We need to make this work. And they did. They
yeah. It was
put
like
the
you thought we
legwork
were
in.
done last time. We are not.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah,
But it obviously launched with Breath of the Wild.
yeah. It had
What a
Breath of the
video game.
Wild.
What a video game. Like I say, could
Yeah,
have played it on your Wii U,
could have played
but
it on your Wii U.
like
I
Hunter
did
did.
at first. Uh, yeah, I didn't get the Switch until November that year. I bought it as a birthday present for myself, and by then I already had a plethora of things to choose from with Breath of the Wild because I did buy it again, and it was the
Dude,
first thing I played.
I just rode the wave, dude. I rode the
And
wave. I
then
was there. I
I bought
used
Mario. I bought Mario Odyssey, the other big game of the year from
what a
Nintendo.
game.
That
What a game.
and got some others for Christmas, such as Splatoon 2 being one of
What a
them.
game.
Very,
What a game.
very
Not as good as
keeping
Splatoon
up.
1.
And
Not as good as Splatoon
yeah,
1.
none of them are.
None of them are, dude. None of them are. Maybe Splatoon 4, Hunter.
Maybe.
Hopes and dreams, dude. Hopes and dreams. Like maybe Splatoon 4 will be the one. Give it
uh,
4 years though, at least, please.
a notable release, mostly because it's honestly, you could if you scrubbed the word deluxe off of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, people would believe that it never released on the Wii U.
Yeah,
Um,
true.
and it was also the best-selling game on the console. So,
And one of the
regardless
best
of
selling games of all time, yeah.
yeah, regardless of whether or not it came out once beforehand, it must be included here. Um, Arms was a silly little adventure into a new idea.
Great game. It's a really
Yeah,
good game. It's a really fun game to play. Um, and even a silly little fun idea still sold like 3 million copies or something ridiculous like that. So,
yeah. The
not
Switch
too
had
shabby.
an effect at the beginning where just
Dude, I just
anything that
remember
came
it.
out on it
Us,
was
like,
popping off.
Nintendo fans at that point, they were kind of rabid. They were kind of crazy where I remember it because I remember it vividly. We would just, there was a lot of us that were just buying everything that we could because it was like, gotta make sure everything's successful. So it was like there was a load of third party games. I don't know how many you'll talk about, but
Yeah,
there was like a bunch of
Skyrim, for example.
Skyrim. I've never played Skyrim on Switch. I've owned it since release day because I bought it just because I was like, I want to show Bethesda that they should port stuff to Nintendo, and then they did port other things to Nintendo, and I never played like anything else that they ported. Port
Yeah.
Starfield. I won't play it there either, but please do it. It'd be funny.
Aside from that, year one of Switch established like it being the console for indies in a way that I feel like is still kind of carried forward through today, even in certain ways. Like Hades is exclusive to consoles on the Switch for a little bit.
Yeah, I feel like I think for a casual audience, that is still where you play a lot of people play indies. I think the
Yeah.
hardcore audience, I still think there's some little gremlins that are coming out of the gutter going, I play on the Steam Deck now. And I'm going, that's nice, kid. Back into the sewers. Off you go.
I bet you're gonna spend $1,000 on that Xbox handheld in a month too.
Everyone
for
was
you,
sitting there
buddy.
going, hey, I'm not buying an $800 Xbox handheld. And then Microsoft was like, Joe, cuts on you. The console now costs $800 too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just so yeah, I think I think the Steam Deck for some like kind of hardcore fans is where they'll now play indies. But for most people, I would have played it on this. If I hadn't bought it on Steam already, I would have bought it on the Switch too, probably.
Yeah.
I also was like, I would buy the physical, but I'm waiting for the PS5. I want them both matching, I've bought Hades 1 on the PS5. I want the matching boxes, dude. You know how it is. You know how it has to be.
I'm gonna do the thing again. The Switch version is gonna be a birthday present, most likely, where it's gonna go right next to that guy. And then I'm gonna buy the PS5 version when that comes. Probably, they launched together the first time, so I suspect that'll be the same story.
I also don't think it'll be as long as a wait. I think it'll probably be a 6-month exclusivity. That'd be my guess. It'll probably be 6 months.
Yeah. In which case, that'll go right next to the other one over there.
Hell yeah.
But
yeah, I just sit there and I'm like, it was a game a month. I don't even need you to read it to me because it's like, you had Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, you had ARMS, you had Splatoon 2, you had Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle from Ubisoft, which had no right to be as good as it was.
Yeah, it was like this weird little pleasant surprise that, people were like, this is good.
Fantastic even. You had Mario Odyssey. What a game. You had Xenoblade Chronicles 2 for the JRPG crowd, which I don't know. I feel like that game's a bit like Marmite, but I love it. I think it's a fantastic video game. I think there's a lot of people that don't like it, and I think that a lot of their opinions are valid. I think there's a lot of stuff about that game that, I don't personally like. As a fan of it, as someone who really loves the game, I think that some of the character designs are a bit too what's the word that I can use? Exaggerated. Yeah. I think they're a bit too exaggerated for their own good sometimes. I think some of the voice performances are absolutely abysmal, but I find them endearing in a lot of ways a lot of the time. Yeah. So it's like, but still, I think it's a fantastic game. The fact that Monolith managed to get that out year one, when a lot of developers make so many promises on a year one launch, and then it doesn't end up coming for years.
Yeah.
I think it's genuinely it's quite a big accomplishment, and fair play to them. I mean, look at Sony, like how many games were we promised within the first year of PS5, and then you're just like, oh, Horizon Forbidden West kind of slip away, God of War Ragnarok,
God of War slip away.
Like, oh, we'll just walk away, we'll just fade off into the distance, and it's just like, I'd rather you wouldn't mention it. And when I remember in January when Monolith was like, it's coming out in 2017, everyone was like, yeah, right. And then they said it again at the launch event. I'm like, yeah, right. And then at E3 it got a date, and we're like, oh wait, what? It actually is coming out? That's mental.
Yeah.
But yeah, fantastic stuff. You had was Yoshi's Crafted World? That wasn't
one.
It was Kirby Star Allies. It was Kirby,
Star Allies was one that made it. Um, Fire Emblem Warriors for the Fire Emblem freaks who wouldn't get three houses yet.
What a game. Who else is this?
Yeah.
Dude, I hate this. I hate this. This is what I'm talking about. It's like I can look at the NES and the SNES and the N64 with with objectivity, like, with just like objectively look at it and go, okay, for what it was. Whereas the Switch, it's like that's my Nintendo nostalgia, dude. That is my little look at my wall of red. That is my little
Yeah.
it's my little Nintendo console.
Other games that you were around near the beginning, Puyo Puyo Tetris, Super Bomberman R,
Snip clips.
1-2 Switch, Snipper Clips, yeah.
You had Shovel Knight got its full collection that happened in the first year.
Yeah.
I think that was launch actually. Fast Racing, not Fast Fast RMX, the second one. That was also a launch day game. You mentioned Bomberman R, didn't you? Rayman
Yeah.
Legends got another port. It wanted to be a part of two Nintendo Switch launch lineups. There was so much stuff, dude, like genuinely. And I think it was the novelty of it being like Skyrim. Oh, if it was like if the Skyrim would come to Wii U, you'd go, oh, who cares? But it was the fact that it came to Switch. For a lot of people, like that was the first time you could take Skyrim on the go with you.
Yeah.
You could have Skyrim in your pocket. It was kind of crazy. It's so weird to me how it's only been 8 years and that's so normalized now. Having a video game, like a really, a console video game in your pocket is so normalized now to the point where it's like, I'm sitting there and Persona 3 Reload is running on Switch 2 and I'm going 30 FPS and it looks like poo-poo. What are you doing? Like the privilege is set in. Like 8 years ago, if you had showed me like Persona 5 running on Switch, I would have been like, witchcraft, what is happening? That's crazy. It's incredible how, comfortable we've got being able to have full-fledged titles in the pocket and just in your pocket anytime. Having Breath of the Wild, just be able to take it with you. It's crazy.
It's insane.
Yeah. Dude, I don't care. I don't care if it's bias. I don't care if it's nostalgia, dude. I think it's like the Switch is like an S tier like launch. It's like it's what you want.
It's hard to dispute. Like on the curve of like what we've been talking about already, and also on the curve of like today's standards, where now we're lucky if the main console makers put out 2 huge games a year. It achieves that and more.
Yeah, I think looking back in retrospect, I think Nintendo kind of fell into a bit of Wii syndrome, where the first year was very heavy hit, like it hit heavy, and then every year after that, kind of you did get 2 or 3 big games, and you were like, oh, that's pretty cool. But you did it set a precedent, and then that precedent wasn't matched as the years went on. Which is interesting because I think the Switch 2 isn't doing that for better and for worse. But we can talk about that so far.
Yeah.
Let's wrap it up with that, shall we?
Yeah, let's get to it. So, I didn't go and list this one out because there's not a whole lot to chat about, but, what we got so far.
I think what's interesting about the Switch 2 is, again, I think the weird thing about the Switch 2 is the novelty of the handheld experience has kind of died, You have these Windows handhelds, you have the Steam Deck, the original Switch. So, you have a load of games that are coming out that have these Switch 2 ports. And you're like, oh, that's cool. Don't feel a reason to pick it up.
Yeah.
But it's cool.
Yeah, or if even you're like me who plays it primarily docked, there's the novelty of being able to take, I didn't play Cyberpunk, but we'll use that as the example here. Take that on the go with me doesn't really, jump out.
Yeah, I feel like, I think Cyberpunk is fantastic. What they've done with that port is, incredible. It's a great looking port. It runs great. I want to buy it just to support CD Projekt because they've done such an incredible job with it. CD Projekt, if you're listening, do the same for The Witcher 3, please. Like, do a proper Witcher 3 port for Switch 2 on a cartridge, and I will buy it because that's what I want.
Cyberpunk is on an actual cartridge too, right? Not a
Yeah,
game key card.
yeah,
Yeah,
full
yeah.
full cartridge game. It's pretty
Very
sick.
impressive.
Very impressive indeed. Um, but I think the novelty of third parties kind of worn off. But even then, so far, I'm actually surprised at the lack of third party support. I thought it would be guns blazing from the start. Rat-a-tat-tat-tat-tat. Here's your Ubisoft games. Here's your thingy games. We're starting to get some. Resident Evil scheduled to come out a lot next year. You've had Star Wars Outlaws. You've had Cyberpunk 2077. You're going to get Persona 3 Reload. You're going to get the new Sonic Racing game. You're getting stuff, right? But I was expecting, I don't know why, Hunter. Maybe I was naive to think it, but I was like coming out of the ground. I was expecting Ubisoft to straight away go, here's Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla coming to
Yeah.
Switch 2. Activision to be like, here's the new Call of Duty coming year 1 to Switch 2. I thought there'd be a lot more of that, and it's surprising to me how they haven't.
I think part of it is like that almost felt like a lot of the tone of the, first direct showing off the console. Like
Yeah.
a lot of that felt like it was centered around look at the third party stuff we got. Here's Elden Ring and
Yeah.
so on,
And it runs like ass.
Yeah, yeah. And now it's kind of like, oh, it feels very much kind of the same song and dance we've been doing with the Switch for the past couple of years with third parties where like you can play it this way, but if you've got one of the other ones, would you really want to?
And I think it's like, I think it's a mixture of one, obviously dev kits haven't gone fully out. We know that that's an issue. So there's a lot of stuff that just hasn't shown up because devs don't have dev kits. But I just think it's like, I don't know. When Skyrim came to Switch 1, you were like, oh, they've tried that. They've taken they've taken some of the upgrades from the PS4 Enhanced Edition and they've moved it over. It's running well. It's like stuff like that. And then you get something from Atlas like the Persona 3 Reload port where it genuinely is just it's the PS5 version, but we've dragged some of the settings down and the frame rate's all over the place. It's just like it just kind of feels like the love isn't there in a way where it's like when
Yeah.
in year 1 and 2 of the Switch, when even later on in the Switch, when you were getting third-party ports, they felt like passion projects, where it's like, how on earth are you getting Doom to run on here? It shouldn't. It doesn't look particularly great, but you've accomplished it, and it's running really well. Fair play to you. Whereas now, it just feels like you said, Hunter, you're playing a version of the game with a chip on its shoulder, and you'd rather go, oh, that's nice, but I own literally anything else. I'd rather go play it on PS5, or I'd rather go play it on my PC. And it's just
Yeah.
it's a bit of a shame, really. I wish that people like Atlas and Sega would put as much care into it as Cyberpunk. I think that's why Cyberpunk stands out, is because it feels like a real labor of love to get that game on the console like that.
Yeah, it's perplexing the amount of like inconsistency with the ports because like Cyberpunk inexplicably also the WWE 2K game for this year really good on the Switch as it's been told.
And then you have games like No Sleep for Konami Date, which if you play the Switch 1 version, it looks crunchy as heck, but
Yeah.
it at least runs at 60 FPS and it's a locked 60 FPS. If you play it on Switch 2, it looks less terrible. Not that much better, and the frame rate's uneven and it's not very good. So it's like,
Yeah, it's super
from that
weird.
point of view, you'd be better off just playing the base console version, which most people did because of a Gamecube card situation. So don't get me started on that. I think that dampens the launch quite a bit as well.
Yeah, that definitely takes a lot of you're always looking at like third party games with a raised eyebrow if you're a person who's like physical game inclined, such as
100%.
you or myself.
Yeah. I mean, and I solely think it's like, I'm not against digital games. I like digital games. I'll happily buy games on digital. It's strictly Nintendo, just because the way Nintendo's treated their online stuff before, like the Wii U eShop and all that jazz, it just goes down within 2 seconds of the console being outdated. So it's like,
Yeah.
I don't mind on I bought Death Stranding 2 on digital, It's like I don't mind buying digital games on PlayStation or on Xbox or on Steam. I buy games on Steam all the time. It's just Nintendo. And I feel like Nintendo kind of felt safe and secure in oh, Nintendo's still doing cartridges. Nintendo still has a holdout for physical, and I think in some exceptions to the rule, there are some games where there is an exception where I think a game key card is perfectly fine. I think that the game key card is perfectly fine if the game is always online. I think that's a perfectly valid thing to do, because if the game is like, say, Call of Duty comes out and it's on a game key card, I think that is perfectly fine, because as soon as those servers go down, that game's basically
Yeah.
non-functional anyway, so who cares? Fair enough. More power to you. Um, there are some games like Star Wars Outlaws, which apparently the cartridge speeds aren't quick enough. Then fair enough, you're gonna have to. But I don't understand why Nintendo hasn't got a separate option, which is the game's on the card and it copies it over to the SSD
Yeah,
like
it's
a disc
weird.
would.
Like
But
the because a lot of these situations with the third parties and the key cards, it feels like they just kind of redressed the cloud versions of ports in a way.
yeah,
But
it's a weird one. Um, so from a third party, you're just kind of sitting there and you're like, oh, fair enough. But I think where Switch 2 shines again and say is definitely with the indies. You know, you had a lot of indie support very early on. You had Deltarune chapters 3 and 4 come out on launch day, which,
when I played on it,
is, yeah, pretty great. You've had games like Hollow Knight Silk Song running at 120 FPS on Switch 2. That's pretty cool.
yeah, probably the place where most people who like to play it on console did play it.
Like you say, Hades 2 is a timed Switch and Switch 2 exclusive, and that's again got its own 120 FPS mode if you are playing it on
Yeah,
Switch 2, which is nice. Um, fast Fast Fusion. There's been plenty of smaller indie titles that have been, pretty great on Switch 2. And then you've had Nintendo's, let's not call it, fantastic, but Nintendo has been releasing video games for the Switch 2, and they have been, Donkey Kong Bonanza's fantastic. What a
yeah,
game.
Donkey Kong Bonanza is great.
Is it as good as Mario
Conversation
Odyssey?
for the game of the
No,
year.
but it's good. It's fantastic. It's pretty good. I like it quite a bit. Mario Kart World, that's a video game.
Yeah,
Um, I don't know. It's fine. It does the job. I'll say this now, Hunter. I know um, I genuinely think that Mario Kart World is my biggest disappointment of the year, for sure.
yeah,
Um, I also think it might be the biggest disappointment of like the past 5 years, maybe even of the past 10, because I've always been thinking in my head, I'm like, God, Mario Kart 8 is so fantastic. I can't wait to see what the next Mario Kart is. And then to play Mario Kart World and go, oh, okay, there's something to this open world, right?
yeah.
And there's nothing. And the online's
Being an
awful.
observer, I can imagine, like, because I just kind of sit and point and laugh because I don't really care about Mario Kart, but I can imagine, like, asking for this thing for, 10 years or whatever it's been.
Yeah.
And then you
11.
get it and you're like, I don't like this so much. Bit of a
I'm not
bummer.
going to lie to you. I put 30 hours into Mario Kart World. I haven't played it since the week 2, since it came out, like 2 weeks since it's come out. I haven't played it.
Yeah.
I boot it up every week for 2 seconds, because you know how the Switch has like the silver coins, the play a game
Oh,
that
yeah.
has online on it and play a game with like sync your cloud save. So every week I just boot up Mario Kart World for literally 2 seconds, go into the free roam and out of it just to get those 2 checklists done, just because I want my points when there's a cool Donkey Kong
Doing your
avatar.
dailies.
Yeah, when Donkey Kong's like dabbing on the haters, I want that. I want the icon, dude. So I
Yeah.
do it. But what a disappointment of a game! Like genuinely, what a disappointment. And the fact that it's still radio silence on that, no DLC, no updates, nothing
No
significantly done
change
to
to
it.
the online that people don't seem to like.
It's just it's definitely my biggest disappointment with the Switch 2 so far as Mario Kart World, for sure. Um, Obviously, you you have some really bad games from Nintendo. Like Mario Kart World is disappointing. It's fundamentally a good game, but it's
Yeah,
disappointing.
it's
You have
functionally
some
acceptable.
mediocre games like Drag X Drive and Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour. What a joke of a thing that is. And
Yeah.
then you have the Switch 2 editions, which I think are fantastic. Like the Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom Switch 2 editions, game changers. Like genuinely, they make those. It's like putting on a pair of glasses with those two games because it is just like, oh, it's actually in HD and running at 60 FPS. That's fantastic. What a game. Um, but the expansion packs have been disappointing. Jamboree is a disaster in terms of its expansion pack. Fun fact about that, Hunter, that I didn't figure out until like last week or 2 weeks ago. Did
Oh
you
man,
know?
Jamboree gets worse.
Did you know that the base version of Jamboree wasn't even updated for Switch 2? It's just that little side bit, so it's not even a higher resolution or anything. It's
Oh, it's
just Jamboree.
hysterical.
Yeah, it's great. It's just gift that keeps on giving. Kirby's pretty good, but again, you're paying £16 or $20 for like 10 extra levels, and you know, it's fine. It's a weird one. Obviously, you've got some great stuff, and I think that last Nintendo Direct really did solidify like the next 6 months or so. You're gonna have some good games coming.
Yeah, it feels like we're caught in the middle of like right before the dam is about to break.
You'd hope. Flipping heck, I
Yeah.
hope. But yeah, you've got Hyrule, you've got Mario Galaxy 1 and 2. If you care about that, they're more games that you've already played before, but hey ho, they're coming. And 4K support for Switch 2, which is nice. You've got
Come on.
You've got the Hyrule Warriors game, the new Hyrule
Yeah,
Warriors,
Age
Age of
of
Imprisonment,
Imprisonment.
which is cool. You've got Kirby Air Riders, which is pretty cool, and Sakurai's gonna spill his guts again for another 45 minutes, and I'm gonna watch it because I'm a psychopath. You've got Metroid Prime 4 still coming out
Yeah.
this year, which is, impressive. It's pretty cool. We'll see how that turns out. Then into the new year, you have got plenty of games. You've got that Yoshi game coming out in spring. You have got Mario Tennis coming out in February. You have got Tomodachi Life coming out in spring. You've got a lot of stuff that's coming out.
Yeah,
It's cool,
for sure.
but it's no like you've got Fire Emblem. If Fire Emblem could come out in summer, then maybe I'm like, ooh, maybe we're starting to cook with some gas a little bit. If
Yeah.
that's a fall game, then we're in trouble. That's like danger zone kind of territory, really.
Feels like a weird game to go in the fall,
It's like August latest, you know what I mean? It's like August
Yeah,
is the
no.
hard cap on that. It's
Yeah,
either
like it
August or
seems like
December.
fall is forbidden for
Yeah, for
VRPGs.
JRPGs.
It has to be summer or December.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. But I mean, I think it's fairly safe to say that it's no Switch launch year. It just
Yeah,
isn't.
definitely not.
Um, is it as bad as the Wii U though? I really don't think it
No, I
is.
don't think so. I think Donkey Kong Bonanza on its own keeps it from being that bad.
Yeah, I think that it's like I'd say it's a B so
Yeah,
far. You
so
know what?
far.
Yeah, so far I'll give it a B, maybe a B minus. Just to step your grade up a little bit. You know what I mean? It's like you're in the halfway innings,
And
but
if it's like if these next couple of games in the lineup are, you know, incredible, it has the potential to be better before we
totally.
see
And
the end.
I'm not gonna lie to you, Hunter. There is a part of me that's like, you know what? I think it's a really cool idea that we are going through year one of Switch 2 and we're not having one of the big 3D Zeldas, which could be the only 3D Zelda that we get, and the only 3D Mario that we get, and this main Splatoon. I like the idea of it worked for Switch because they needed that Hail Mary. I'd kind of
Yeah,
like if we didn't get every big IP within the first 2 years this time. I think that would be great. I really
you could
do.
spread them out more to be linchpins of their own years this
Yeah.
time,
Like
so
it's
that
like,
people aren't boo-hooing 2019 and 2021 as being weak or whatever.
it's like you can have in 2026. You could pick one of them, right? You could pick
Yeah,
a Mario or a Smash Bros or an Animal Crossing and go that and Fire Emblem. That's next year. The year after that, Monolith's game and say Smash Bros is that year, and then the year after, 3D Mario. You'd hope 3D Mario is by that point. You know what I mean?
yeah,
But you can do that where you can sugarcoat it, where you can have three really good games. Because Nintendo does what a lot of modern developers really don't, and they have these middleware games. They have these smaller games like Yoshi and the Forgotten Book or whatever it's called, the Magic Book, Kirby's
mysterious
Magic Journey.
book.
Mysterious, thank you. I'm sorry, I forgot the adjective. I'm sorry. But yeah, they can have these smaller games, and you can go, oh, cool. There you go. It serves that purpose. There can be a new Kirby game. There can be, all these other little things that kind of fit the calendar well. Like Tomodachi Life and Rhythm Heaven. Perfect little games for that.
I think the only kind of problem we're running into with those middleware games, as you put them, is similar to the N64, where, you know, Mario Tennis is still asking for $70 from you.
That's when it gets a bit rough.
Yeah. So, you know,
Which is hard, because it's like that Mario Tennis game looks a lot better than Aces did at the start
it
of it.
looks a lot better than Aces did, but
It starts to look, I say, it's starting to look like the 3DS Mojo's back, because those 3DS sports games were very good. And it's
yeah,
like,
the hard proposition here is I think the sports games for consoles anyway, since I didn't have the handhelds, were at their best at the GameCube, which they are offering some of these to you. And like if the tennis game on the GameCube isn't out when Mario Tennis next year is, it will be at some point.
yeah,
So it'd be like $70 for that, or play the one that I already know I like on the subscription I'm already paying for,
it's hard, right? It's hard.
It's one of those things.
It's difficult. I don't, here's the thing is, I think it's going to be interesting. Because I know in America, you guys are like, oh yeah, we used to paying $60 for these games and stuff like that. In the UK, it's like pricing is all over the place right now with this variable pricing structure where it's like, oh yeah, do you want to buy this for 50? Do you want to buy Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 for $58.99? And I'm like,
oh,
originally, Switch 1 games have relatively stayed around the $41.99 or $42.99 price, around there. That's where Nintendo games have kind of landed. The bigger games would be like 50, but most of them would land around 41, $42.99. So you're asking a big step up, 58, 60 is like almost a half of the game again to go
yeah.
one step further. And it's like in Switch 1, I was so willing, for $41.99, yeah, I'm willing to give Mario Tennis Aces a go. I'm willing to give this a go. For 60 quid, no chance am I willing to give Mario Tennis a go.
Especially when the one right before it burned you in some kind of way, Even if it
100%.
does look better, who knows if it actually will be that much better.
Yeah.
It's
Now, would I pay? Why would I pay $58.99 for Tomodachi Live Living the Dream Hunter? You bet your butt I will, and I'll have a great time. And don't worry, Hunter. You'll be on my island thriving like everybody else. I will be.
Cool.
There'll be a
Amazing.
little Hunter me. There'll be a little Kyle me. Maybe we'll get a third box back up, and we'll put Kyle's me in there, and he can be.
Amazing.
He can be back in that way. But no, it's a hard one for Switch right now, and you've got to understand that this is what the whole games industry is currently like. PlayStation and Xbox are having the exact same issues right now. But I also think part of it is that it's like a lot of these companies have gotten away in the past decade with just handing out the bare minimum at times and getting away with it. And now here the repercussions are where the market is dictating that they need to increase the prices, but there's no trust from the consumers that for that reasoning, It's like if you said to somebody, hey, yeah, sorry we kind of released Animal Crossing and didn't update it really and then gave up after a year. Will you buy a new one? A lot of people will be like, yes, but a lot of people will be like, well, that's that game I played during COVID. And it was good, but they didn't ever add anything really.
It's like the antithesis of the Silk Song situation in a lot of ways, where people are like, you're only asking $20 for this? I'd give you more because,
True, and then
you are right.
And then on the other side, you got a load of indie developers going, "Oh God, why have they made it $20? Because now we were going to charge ours at 40." And my thing is, dude, I love indie games. I think they're fantastic. I think so many of them have gotten too big for their britches sometimes. Where it's like, why are you $40? Let's be real here. Why are you $40?
Yeah, it's a bit of a situation for some of them, where like Silk Song could have got away with it. 80s. The physical version is like 50, and I think it will get away with it, especially since I think the digital is only 30 still, so
And it's like a collector's item, isn't it? It's more like it's on cart and all that jazz.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. But I think a lot of companies, indies have been getting away with this for a while, where it's like, I always sit there and laugh when a game, like, don't get me wrong, I love indie games. But when an indie game's sitting there going, would you like to pay $40 for this? And I'm like, let's think about some of the most popular indie games of all time, right? Let's think about Hollow Knight. Let's think about Undertale. Let's think about Stardew Valley. What's the connective tissue between all of these? Not only are they fantastic games, because don't get me wrong, they're all brilliant games, Game of the Year contenders in their respective years for a reason.
Yeah.
But also because they were insanely good and they were insanely cheap. You'd be stupid not to give Stardew Valley a go if it's your jam because it was like $12. You'd be stupid to not give Undertale a go because it was like $10,
Yeah.
And so it's like Deltarune asking a little bit more, but yeah, you kind of deserve it at this point. And even then it was only like $24 or something like that. It was like, it was a step up, but not that big of a step up. And then you've got some random indie game from a studio you've never heard of that's like, trust me, guys, $45 though, please. I'm like, come on.
Yeah, it's a bit like, if you want to make this game, then fine, but maybe, make something else beforehand to provide some goodwill towards you. Because, like, it's not like I'm just out here throwing my money at Supergiant off of vibes. They have proven to me to be my favorite studio in the catalog that they've made up to this time.
A great example from this year, which I think is going to be, I think whatever Aggro Crab's next main project is going to do extremely well because of the goodwill of Peak. Because Peak's a fantastic game, and it was like $8 or something ridiculous like that. And it's like, earn some goodwill. And the same goes for mainstay developers, right? With Nintendo. Yes, continue making your sports games and stuff like that. But if you're going to have variable pricing and for some reason make Mario Kart World $80 for some weird reason that doesn't make any sense because it definitely isn't worth $80, then at least go under as well. Go, okay, yeah, maybe Mario Galaxy 1 and 2, games that most people played 15 years ago, maybe we should make that $50 for both of them.
Yeah.
Maybe instead of making it $80, we should make it $50. Maybe that works. Maybe instead of $40 each, we make them $30 or even $20. Or if you own 3D All-Stars, maybe we give you a discount on Galaxy 2 and upgrade Galaxy for free. Like, just like,
yeah, sure would be nice, wouldn't it?
Simple things. It's just like, it's a hard one, man. It's a hard one. But you do just sit there because it's like $80 for Mario Galaxy 1 and 2. Are you real? Let's be real here, dude. Let's be real. They're both great games, but are you real? Like, let's be serious.
Dude, I saw that and I was like, oof. Because, when they announced it, I was like, well, I already have Galaxy 1, and that's the one I like more anyway. So I was already like, it was already a tough sell to finish the collection, as it were. And I was like, and then when I saw the price, I was like, ooh.
Dude, I'm just lucky I got, like I say, it's like 58 quid here in the UK, £58, something ridiculous like that. I just got lucky because one of the places that I pre-order from just went under the assumption that because it's a Switch One game, it would be Switch One prices. So I got a pre-order in for like £42 instead of 58, and they upped it very quickly afterwards. But I got in early, and UK consumer laws, pre-order price promises, and all that jazz. I got it in, and it's fine. So I'm happy to pay like 40 quid for it. $50, that's fair enough. I'm more willing to do that. But yeah, it's a hard one, dude. Nintendo Switch 2 so far, it's all right.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure we'll do an episode in June
1 year
of next
Switch
year.
A year review. Gosh, we'll see. What wonders will we have? Will Ethan have played Tomodachi Life? He hopes he has. He hopes he's played Rhythm Heaven as well, because my goodness. That's all I'm living for right now. A little bit of Rhythm Heaven.
Yeah.
Imagine if that was the launch game, then it would be S+, like that would have been S+.
Right.
Imagine. Nothing but Rhythm Heaven. Imagine. Cinema. Anyway, that's going to do us for this week, everybody. Links are on screen right now. You can go and follow us on Twitter or Blue Sky if you want to keep up to date with what we do outside of the podcast. Next week, as we mentioned, big games, everybody. Big games, huge games. Hades 2, and Silent Hill F.
Yep.
Is it an F because of the game's quality, or is it an
The F stands for Forte.
for freaking incredible? Find out next week, everybody. And then obviously the week after that, Ghost of Yotei and Yuka Replayly, and we're just going to keep on trucking. Will my Ghost of Yotei pre-order show up because I pre-ordered it at the same time as Black Ops 7? We'll find out.
Will Ethan get out of doing his community service with Ghost of Yotei? Who knows?
Oh dear. Anyway, not too long to wait to find out, anybody. Anyway, thank you ever so much for listening and watching this week. We really do appreciate it, and thank you as always for being here. We'll be back same time, same place next week for more. But until then, have an awesome week. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Bye.
Toodaloo.